Oh, my gosh. That was,
Okay, Article 23. To see if the town will appropriate $3,000 from the library plowing mowing contract. And raise and appropriate from taxation $439,525 for the maintenance of facilities and grounds as follows. For a total of 2024 budget, $423,655. 2024 actual of $400,127.29. And a 2025 request of $442,525. Funding from non-property tax sources. 2024 budget total of $1,550. 2024 actual of $3,000. 2025 request of $3,000. Netting out of funding from property taxes of $439,525. So. Again, services has a big deficit there. But that may, I don't know if all the services are in here, Lorna.
yeah, also the sand and salt shed.
Well, the Center for All Season is
Are we doing
is
this?
over. I don't know what. So it looks like probably these aren't all the final numbers.
Nothing,
Nothing. is
nothing
defined.
under 2024 actual.
Okay,
I can't say nothing, but much of the
yeah,
figures.
I know
are
you're
known.
still working on that. Okay, anything in particular that jumps out at anyone?
The percentage on this in my eyes is right on because, you know. I think it's one, to me, I think looks good.
So a question I have. Is on the Dalton properties. If we're asking for 24,550, but then we later pass the amendment. To. The article to take them down and ask for. Cost 45,000, I think it is, to remove it. We've got 24,550 here. That should help offset that other cost if this amendment, if this article passes.
Correct,
Am I correct?
you're correct.
Yes,
So
you
I don't
are
know how we
correct.
did that, but we'll need to,
You know, what you do is, if this passes, when we get. to
we'll
the other
just
one, you-
adjust it, we
you
get to
drop it
that
on the
number.
floor.
Yeah, okay,
Just
all
have
right.
to remember to.
Yeah, you just make amendment to, you know, to drop it by the.
Right, because we're on the floor, we can do that.
But you gotta be careful, because you gotta keep so much in there to pay for the power bill and the fuel bill for
Until we take it down.
$10.
Yeah,
And if they both come down, you still gotta do stuff until they do come down.
right. And where are we? I believe I'm correct that Loon Cottage is not considered, when we look at Dalton properties here, we're not including Loon Cottage. Okay,
Right.
all right.
That's
Just want to
part of-
make sure I was
That's part
correct.
of
on
it.
that.
As far as I know, Corey can answer this better, but I'm pretty sure that's all on the Center for All Seasons budget.
I would think that would be.
Yes,
part
it
of
is.
Center for All Seasons. Okay, all right. So we'll need to get the actuals. Anything else that jumps out?
So the Workman Field, we had nothing budgeted and expended last year because of the K-WIS was doing it.
No, Corey spent quite a bit on that, but I believe it was just pulled out of different areas, and I think Center for All Seasons was picking up some of that, the rec program too.
We should have the number and the actual, showing how much they actually spent on it.
That's probably why
Yeah, Corey, can you pull some numbers there?
Yeah, I can.
I'm guessing
Thank
that's
you.
probably why the Center for All Seasons budget.
I'm
is-
sorry?
That's probably why the Center for All Seasons line is overspent, is because
Oh,
probably.
could be part of
Workman
it there.
Field is part of it,
Yeah.
Workman Fields in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we took quite a bit of money out of Center for All Seasons budget to work on the Workman Field.
So
Okay.
we should get
It
that.
should, it should move down then.
Right, move that number down, so
Yeah.
it doesn't look like you overspent that much there. But
Yeah.
I'd rather show an overspending now on Workman Field.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay,
These are all very draft.
Yeah, but we're getting very close to, when they can be
I know.
very draft, that's the problem. And I know, yes. Busy with the one on paper here.
okay. Moving to Article 24. To proceed by voting. Excuse me, to proceed with the voting by secret ballot on the following question.
Why is it secret ballot?
I don't know, I'm just like,
Yeah. that used to be-
We moved that.
Yeah, we
That's-
moved.
That's my fault for not taking that off. That was proposed
okay,
on
so
the
it should be
secret
to
ballot
proceed.
and you moved.
Oh, no,
it.
it should just be shall the town.
Yeah.
Okay, shall the town vote to approve an RFP for engineering and architect services not to exceed a cost of $200,000 to address the current and future needs of the Center for All Seasons and appropriate such funds equally from the facilities and recreation reserve accounts for this purpose. Is it the recreation reserve account or the? Is it Center for All Seasons Reserve account, or is recreation the correct
I believe recreation.
title? Okay,
Facilities and rec.
all right. Article 25. To see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen or their designee to demolish the buildings and remove all debris on town-owned property located at 8 Dalton Road. To raise and appropriate up to, looks like it should be 45,000 for this purpose,
Yeah.
right?
Well, let's- That one on the next article that.
And to conduct any other necessary business required for this purpose. Estimated cost to keep is 200,000, demolition cost is 45. So 45 would be the number that would go in there. And then if the other one passes, then we can adjust it here.
Mhm.
Okay. So my only thought, and this came to me at some crazy point, is there any part of those buildings that are worth selling? Like the metal on the roof, could we,
Copper inside, we can cast.
Huh?
And so we can cast the copper in, that's about it.
okay, no, I was gonna say to demolish, sell, or to put another word in there, no, okay.
Well, check with Corey, because Corey, didn't you say something about if we had to remove the roof? That there was a, oh no, because we shoveled it, and how much?
Yeah, we have the metal from the roof. We're gonna use it on the garage addition. So that's a shingled roof now.
Right,
Oh, okay,
Yeah, it's already anything other than the copper, which.
Copper wire.
Even that.
It's not even, it's not worth
That's
labor.
not
Yeah,
worth much.
okay, all right. Article 26. To see if the town will authorize the Board of Select Persons or their designee to demolish the buildings and remove all debris on town-owned property located at 10 Dalton Road. To raise and appropriate up to 45,000 for this purpose and to conduct any other necessary business required for this purpose. Estimated cost to keep $200,000. Demolition cost is 45,000.
Just a quick question on both these articles, and
Okay,
I'll throw this out at Corey. Corey, that 45,000, I probably should ask you before tonight, does that include any groundwork to fill in the foundation?
Yes,
Um,
it should be complete.
That 45,000 would
Yeah,
count
it
that.
should be complete.
Okay, that's the only question, I just wanna make sure we had enough to cover, that's all.
okay, Article 27.
May I ask one question? Because I'm
Oh.
just curious. Y'all have plans for those properties?
Do we have what?
Plans for those properties?
That's what the Long Range Committee at Center for All Seasons will be looking at,
Let's see.
to see. big picture, what do we do, what do we
Could
need
be
to
most
do?
anything, it could be a gazebo over there, it could be their pickleball courts if they wanna raise money for it, could be.
In many ways, moving pickleball may make more sense, but whatever.
It's-
Okay, Article 27, to see if the town will appropriate 30,000 from anticipated revenue from solid waste operations and raise and appropriate from taxation $347,640 for a total request of $373,650. And let's see. From our budget, 2024 budget is $359,193. 2024 actual is $319,436.31. And our 2025 request is $373,650. Funding from non-property tax sources, a total of $40,000 in the 2024 budget. Our actual is $66,974.13. Our projected 2025 request is 30,000, netting out at funding from property taxes at $343,650.
I have several things. First of all, the 30,000, I think we can go up to 40,000 on that,
Move that, I was gonna say, I think,
because we collected, what, 66,000?
you've
Doesn't hurt
got
to go-
10 from undesignated,
56,974.
56,974.
Yeah. What was collected, and then, I guess. I'm really a little bit confused, sorry, but that's just my normal state. Funding from non-property tax source from undesignated, $10,000. I don't remember that we took $10,000 from undesignated.
Capital reserve, that was for special project, I just remembered that,
From undesignated, for what special, we didn't do that,
I think so.
special project directly, was in the budget.
It was in the budget and we took it, it was appropriated out of the general fund, if I remember right. Somebody had to go back and,
Oh,
I'd have to look at, anybody have any last year's annual report?
I think
Anyone have
Mel
what?
just went to
I
get
think
one.
Melanie just went to get that.
Okay,
Is that what we did? That was a year ago.
yeah, I know, it's a year ago, so I think so.
It's now gone. I can grab one.
I think we, yeah, I think we look at that, I think that's what that was, is we took $10,000 out of the undesignated fund to, do special projects, I think, but that's why I need a annual report to see that.
well, you guys did a bunch of paving and patching and everything else up there, so.
Yeah.
We did a lot, well, we did a lot of stuff.
Or it could be because that thing, your new office building.
No, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, but I've been the other 10,000.
That was a different,
I came no special.
because there's 10,000 in this year's budget
Well,
also.
this would be 40,000 from appropriate revenue, from anticipated
Well,
revenue.
I think 40,000 from anticipated revenue, sure.
That, the actual of 311,000 compared to the budgeted of 351. Are we still waiting for some numbers to bring that one up some?
All right, let me, yeah, my finger moved this whole thing.
Hmm.
We shouldn't be,
Because,
but.
Yeah, you're sure 40,000.
yeah, I mean, then we're increasing this year's request. If we
Well-
spent 311, we're asking 365.
So we budgeted for. The thing about that is the budget was wood grinding also, that didn't get done this year, and next year it's gonna be about probably, and it's on top of what we've done, another 25, 30 grand.
Yeah,
To have that demo kind of ground up.
yeah, I think that was for
The
special.
problem is though, it's the stuff we keep budgeting for and not getting done. And then the money just gets shifted somewhere else.
Right,
It's starting to drive me crazy.
Last year, the voters approved moving $10,000 from the undesignated fund into the solid waste capital reserve. That was for your funding reserve accounts, Article 27. It should not have been included
In,
in the operating article. Because
as
that's
it
for
went to
capital
capital
expenses.
reserve.
so we would take the 10,000 off here?
Yes, it should be off the bottom number on the budget.
But either way, they're not asking for anything on that line anyway for this coming budget, so it's gonna make a difference.
No.
So we need to take that undesignated line out and readjust the numbers.
So is that, but I guess my question is that $10,000 that's supposed to be going into the cap reserve, did it get deposited into the
Capital reserve.
capital reserve, or was it, where did it go?
I can check that.
Okay, just, cause you got 2 years worth.
So back up to the transfer station line. But let's see, this year we had budgeted 351 and change. We spent 311, and now we're budgeting 365.
Is that 311 reflect?
Does that look like a real number, or is that one we need to check, Kenny?
Kenny just said he thought that was the correct number for action.
I believe it, okay, we're looking at that. I'm
We'll
looking
have
at
to
the
look
bottom
at it
line.
because.
Yeah,
If it is.
if not, then that's a big jump up,
You know, $40,000, we probably could take a little bit out of that.
right?
Just get it back down to last year's budget, at the very least.
So what did you say, Kenny? You need another 2025? So if we took this year's expenses, right now you're putting in 45,000 extra.
I don't think all December's waste management, because the last report I had from
I
you,
don't know if they're all in.
right, all the waste management
Well,
was in
let's find out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess my question is, if you take this year's actual plus 25, is that what you're thinking?
I know the waste,
But well, we also would, starting with this year, we'll have 5% increases instead of 3% increases on our waste. That comes in July, it comes July 1. So it's a 5% increase on that. Plus, we're gonna start the grinding in the next month. So that's gonna be another 25 grand this year that's gonna come out of that on top of what we didn't spend last year. And we still have to budget for it, because it's gotta get done,
Oh,
especially now that's gotta get
Absolutely.
done.
Right,
But
but
the money, the 25 we didn't spend last year, where did that end up? How come it didn't get carried over to this project? That's what I'm saying.
it goes into the undesignated.
It goes right into the
That's what you guys are.
Which I don't like, because then you just keep taxing people on money and you're not
You're-
spending.
Exactly,
Right,
that's, you know, that's what I got about taking the unexpended and put it in the cap reserve, and we
Well,
could pull it
a
back
couple
out.
years ago, didn't we start taking it, if it didn't get spent, didn't we turn around and put a warrant articles to carry it over specifically for that?
No, you guys stop doing that.
We've done, yeah, we did that.
Dan, we did
Yeah, a
that
couple
about
years- we did it
10
years ago.
And then probably 5 years ago, everybody went, oh, it's all one pot of money,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't be splitting it
But the
out.
thing is, but the thing about it, by taking it from letting it lapse into the undesignated fund and then taking it from that, you're able to actually manage what the balance of your capital reserves are.
And
As
it's
opposed-
cleaner.
As opposed to just relying upon,
reserve account.
one year, you may get $10,000, the next year you may get $40,000, the year after that, you might get $8,000. So by pulling it from the undesignated fund, you're able to manage what the level of your capital
Well,
reserves
But there's
are.
a
what Dan was saying is we
trail too,
were
because
carrying
you're
it over to
seeing
the
that.
next year's budget.
Pulled
Right.
from, right?
So take
people
$10,000
see that.
and
We
carry it
taken
over
this
to the
money
next
and
year's
we're
budget
applying
fund
it to
it.
You can do
reduce.
that, but you're using a
The
one-time
taxes
revenue source to pay
instead
for
of-
ongoing
right?
expenses.
If we're just letting it lapse to,
Because you're not gonna
lapse
have
to
that.
somewhere else, nobody has an idea, right, where to go.
Don't we have, what, 2 or 3 accounts where we let the
No,
money?
not necessarily.
go.
Yeah,
Recreation keeps theirs,
Yeah.
library keeps theirs,
and.
fire keeps
and
theirs.
fire.
Public
Those are the
Works
only
keeps
3?
theirs.
Pretty much everybody keeps it.
Public transport station,
Well,
transfer station,
Keep
I think
mine.
facility keeps theirs too.
You gotta start throwing like some fundraisers down there.
Hot dogs,
Okay.
sell hot dogs on a Saturday.
All right, so we need to come to some agreement on that, on when you get your actual for this year, how much more do you want for next year? And is 25,000
Yeah,
the
let's
number?
find out what the actual is.
Make sure that everything is.
This is what we need, and the actual is higher, is closer to their budget amount, and there's.
Right,
I mean, like Kenny said, it's gonna be $25,000 in the grind.
At a minimum, it's gonna be like a 25 grand this
so
year.
actual plus 25 to 30, we'll see what it looks like.
Right, but right now, if the actual is correct on here.
Again, I
You've
can
got
manage-
$40,000 difference right there. From what you asked for and what been spent. So let's find out.
Let's find out what it is. That's what I was trying to say is over this year, would another 25 take care of you? Or 30?
Perhaps, yeah.
Okay, so that's what we need to get for the next round on
Additional
this.
5%, but that's only from July until the end of the year.
Right.
Well,
With
it's
the
actually
additional
an additional
5%.
2%, right? Because it's going from 3 to 5,
Right.
so then it would be an additional 2% over,
Over what it was
yeah.
the prior year, yeah, with the first 5% increase was this past July.
This past July, so,
July started our new contract, I believe, with Waste Management was this July 1.
so this past July one was when we were
2024.
5%.
5%.
Okay, so then.
Plus LD 259 added an additional $5 per ton on our bulky waste and $2 per ton above and beyond the 5%. And $2 a ton on the MSW.
Okay, so you need to sort of proof that number
We
out.
just need all the correct numbers. You know, what we're looking through tonight, we're kind of spinning our wheels because we don't have the actual numbers.
Right. But we're finding out where we need to put some extra,
Which is just about everywhere.
yeah. Okay, Article 28. To see if the town will raise and appropriate from taxation $118,912 for library services as follows, with any unexpended balance lapsing into the library capital reserve fund. 2024 budget, $115,620. 2024 actual, $108,230.13. The 2025 budget, $118,912. Funding from non-property tax sources, the library capital reserve account. We are not taking anything. So that leaves funding from property taxes, $118,912.
So how much is in the library capital reserve right now?
I don't think there's much in it.
I do not know that off the top of my head.
There's a little bit, I don't think it's that much. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
I think we talked about that when Jared was here.
Yeah,
There's really not very much in that.
and we talked about it when we did the
I
budgetary.
think
stuff.
there could be 8,000, maybe 15,000.
And the budget really, if you look at the actual numbers, add up at 108 and the 8,000 below it, you're not that much different than what's requested this year.
Right. Right,
And
Couple
it,
$1,000, so that's pretty lean budget.
right,
Yeah.
and that was, a lot of that was a budget committee because he overspent some lines, so we asked him to increase a couple lines, so that he'd be more in line. So that's why you see a little bit of $3,000 more than last year's, because there was some lines he overspent.
yeah. Okay, are we ready to go to Article 29? To see if the town will authorize the Board of Select Persons to enter into a one-year contract with the Friends of the Belgrade Public Library for up to $3,000 to be paid by the Friends to the town for plowing and mowing services to be performed by the town at the library property on Depot Road. Pretty straightforward.
The only question I've got on that one, and I can't forget to ask and answer during one of these budget meetings, was how much did we actually spend for mowing and plowing and stuff through Corey this year? How much did it cost us?
Corey, do you know that answer?
Negative. I
We
really don't.
spend no money?
If we spend more than $3,000, then we should be asking for more than $3,000
Right.
because they're the ones
Is
I mean,
3,000?
I can honestly start tracking that better this year.
Okay,
I mean, where it's the beginning of the year and give you a better answer for next budget cycle, but right now we're just pulling straw out of my hat.
okay,
That's fine. We should be doing
you
that.
should just check it, yeah,
So that we're not spending $5,000 between. the
and getting 3,
personnel.
yep,
Getting
absolutely, yeah. Okay, Article 30, to see if the town will appropriate $98,000 from appropriated recreation revenue and raise and appropriate from taxation $204,527 for recreation services with any unexpended balance lapsing into the capital reserve, the recreation capital reserve. 2024 budget, $270,742. 2024 actual, $250,581.29. 2025 request, $302,527. Funding from non-property tax sources, a total of 2024 budget of $98,500. From 2024 actual, $116,834.50. And the 2025 request for $98,000. Funding from property taxes netting out at $204,527. Bruce,
So, same thing we've been doing on the other budgets, if their actual is 250,000, do they need $52,000 more? If not, then we can cut that by whatever percentage.
probably some of that actual was the fact that we were a period of time without a rec director, correct?
Yes,
I mean, that would be part of that difference.
Can we, before the next meeting, just have a figure what it would have been if we'd had a full-time rec director of full-time? I mean, it was only like a month,
Yeah.
it's only a month, 2 months worth of, I
Okay,
think he left in October, right? If I remember right, so you only had October, November, November, December, so.
okay.
And.
Anything
this
else?
year, the actual on the funding for non-property tax sources,
Yeah,
we're at $116,000, the only budget is $198,500. I mean, 98,500.
You know, why we do more now, that
right.
was my next question.
yeah, that's what Dan had requested when we went over his, budget. Of course, we didn't have any sort of,
Right, where now we have
Yeah,
an actual
we have
number
a-
there that's
Now,
considerable.
they did say that summer camp this year may be reduced because they're not gonna have as many, they may not be able to have as many
Mhm.
kids. I don't know how much, but,
Okay, but we're also adding in that sailing program this summer too.
right,
Okay, well, like I said, I don't wanna spend too much time on it until we actually have actual numbers on everything, so. We'll take a
Okay.
look at it, we'll get the actual.
So net revenue should be actual. Was that's.
I think the
that's-
revenue in probably is.
So I would like to see that, the 98 move up to at least, 104. Get a little closer to the 116,
Split the difference.
or split the difference,
Or you just could go 95%, right?
or 95%.
Well, they are, the
Okay.
summer
Yeah.
camp is,
Yeah,
may,
that's,
may
yeah,
have a
they said
big
they may
impact.
have to reduce the number of kids because we just don't have the
Yeah.
personnel for it this year.
But the rentals, that figure has gone down
I saw that too.
even from what the actual, if the actual is 9,000, it's now down to 7.
So there must be.
So I don't know, is there a reason for that,
I
they were
assume that when.
anticipating lower rentals?
Anticipating that it wasn't going to be the 9,000,
Mhm.
is I'm guessing.
Okay,
The music stuff in there, because I remember, did Christine,
Did we just get an email saying that we're gonna have to stop costing us more money for something?
yeah,
We did.
I was gonna say, so Christine had sent something out, and it was gonna cost more. And this is where we have to figure out how much are we paying.
I think she was getting, sponsors. To cover.
Yeah, they were gonna try to do sponsors and hang up stuff inside the
Jim,
gym, which I'm
Yeah.
not real crazy about. Making that place trashy if they use it for weddings and everything else, and having sponsors, they think all the balls, but. There's another discussion we need to have.
right,
You probably, I think a recommendation, recommendation on that, maybe the concert thing should be a separate line, separate article. Let the voters make a decision if it, how much you're spending on it, and if the voters wanna spend all that much money.
We started out with what, $400 a thing, and now we're.
Yeah,
Well,
so it's kind of, it's a nice program and every.
And like I said, the voters-
Wow,
All right, the voters may say yay for it, give them the opportunity to say no if they want to. Yes, I think it's a good idea, those sponsors, do I agree? Do it there, no, maybe if we put a fence up on at the Center for All Seasons where the Dalton property used to be. On that area, like down at the Workman Field, maybe hang your sponsor signs there.
Yeah, but they do fencing around pickleball courts or whatever.
Right.
But
That'd be my recommendation. I'm like you, I don't really want to see it inside the building, because I think that would.
Okay,
Yeah.
can we go to Article 31 for
Before we
tonight?
move
Oh,
on, before
yeah.
we move on, I have a question on Article 23, because I was thinking, when we were talking about the library, I was thinking about the library plowing and mowing contract, and we show funding from non-property tax sources for library plowing and mowing, but there's no item above that for the library. There's nothing to show that that money is being spent on the library. Now, I know we don't own the library, so, but we still are maintaining the grounds. So should we show a line for the library, since we're specifying the mowing and plowing contract?
Well, it's not increasing our
No, she's right.
expenses.
She's right. That's
yeah,
an
that's, and
expense.
that's the number that Corey needs is what we're expending.
Right,
But I mean, presumably it's covered under something.
But all that money
Up
goes
above.
into grounds maintenance.
Right.
And it's expensive in the grounds maintenance right now, but. We don't.
Right, because
you
you
should
we don't-
break it
We
out.
don't know
You
what
don't-
portion it's costing.
You don't expense out, mowing around the Center for All Seasons of the North Belgrade Community Center, or the maintenance garage, or the fire station, or you're not expensing each one of those out when you go mow.
No.
Right, but we
on
don't,
this article, we're
show,
taking in the money for that purpose specifically.
right, we're taking
So
in
we should
specific money
show
for that
it.
purpose, and it doesn't show anywhere. I'm just raising the question.
Yeah.
Or is that something we
I
should
think
show
the final
next year
contract
when we
should
have
go in
numbers? I don't know.
If you just budget the same figure.
Well, like
it's money
Corey
in,
just
money
said,
out.
he
Yeah.
doesn't know, so.
Yeah, the same figure makes sense, because it's been $3,000.
And those other examples, I mean, they're not third parties. The Friends of the Library is a third party.
But where are you gonna put that?
Let me just take $3,000 out of repairs and maintenance. And put it into
In the library?
Library.
library plowing and mowing.
We do that.
I mean, we've never done it before, so, you know, it would be zeros for last year. I don't know, I'm just saying that, you know, people might want,
And like to be transparent about where it comes in and where it goes out. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying, just because we do have a special line item for money coming in, but
Yeah.
it doesn't show library.
I mean, we show it on everything else, we probably should show it there, I mean, show the
The one
revenue.
we've never done.
Well, if you take it off repairs and maintenance. Right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
because
a
that's a
good
pretty
way
high,
to do it.
it seems like a pretty high percentage of repairs and maintenance to,
Well, it does, but I mean,
I don't know, I'm just making.
we're grabbing numbers,
Yeah.
or next year we show it. Or we put it in with an asterisk saying to be determined next year. I don't know. What's the feeling?
I mean, it technically falls under maintenance, I mean, the mowing and plowing is part of maintenance of the property.
I'll do that and just decrease that line. Okay.
Okay.
Now are we ready for Article 31?
Yes.
Okay. To proceed with the voting by secret ballot on the following question. To see if the
No secret
town,
ballot.
oh, I'm sorry, yeah,
Another one.
That was a cut and paste you did.
yeah.
I did.
To see if the town will, one, approve a capital project for the construction of pickleball and basketball courts. I think that should be a slash, because it's not gonna be multiple courts. Pickleball / basketball court. For the town of Belgrade in the project. Two, authorize the ad hoc pickleball committee needs another E, to fundraise for the project. Authorize the select board to accept any funds received by the committee and any grants received by the town for the project. And four, authorize the select board to expend any funds received from gifts and grants to complete the project.
Should we also have the construction of pickleball / basketball courts will be at the center for all seasons? Because this just looks.
That's
like
really the
general,
question.
You know,
Should we approve a capital project for the construction of at the center for all for the town of Belgrade at the center for all seasons? Because that's really the question. Can they put them on town property? If they don't have their own. So. If we do pickleball / basketball court. For the town of Belgrade at the Center for All Seasons, and then 2, authorize the ad hoc. Pickleball, probably should be pickleball /
Should be ad hoc committee. I wouldn't even put it, just a committee.
Okay,
well, they are a separate arm now, Dan, so I think because at the top, we just have approve a capital project. And then this is intended to give them the fundraising arm, which gives us the authority to hold their money in-house. Which right now, we're doing, but
Just the ad hoc project committee, because it's just a project.
well, it's really an ad hoc Parks and Recreation Committee, isn't it?
But it's called the ad hoc pickleball committee, so.
Right.
Yeah.
in our
We've
system,
already
it
formed the
is
committee
it
and
is
they're
an ad hoc.
serving.
It's already there.
Yeah.
I think we
Okay.
just leave it.
Okay. Are we comfortable with the changes we're making there?
yeah, we gotta add another E on the end of committee though, on line 3
Yes.
of that. We know we have a complaint.
What was the last thing you said, Melanie? I'm sorry.
Under
Give us an
line
E
3,
on
committee
committee.
just
Committee,
needs an
yeah.
E
Yeah,
on the
Carol
end,
mentioned that.
so it goes from combined to committee.
Okay, Article 34, to see if the town will vote to appropriate 5,000 from the emergency fuel fund to raise and appropriate from taxation $12,040 for a total of $17,080 for social services as follows. 2024 budget 16,700, 2024 actual 45,7229, 2025 request 17,080. Funding from non-property sources of budget 25,000, actual 25,000, 2025 request of 5,000, giving us a net funding from property taxes of $12,080.
I'd like to ask this question now, so I don't have to talk about it.
I'm sorry,
I'd like to ask this question now, so I don't have to talk about it at town meeting.
okay,
So first of all, in your funding from non-property tax sources, the emergency fuel fund, you couldn't have budgeted or spent 12,500 because you only spent for emergency fuel $404.90. So that actual is wrong, and I'm not sure why the budgeted number was 12,500, since that's well in excess of what was budgeted for the emergency fuel fund for expenses.
okay. All right, let's check those, okay,
And again, I raised this point during town meeting last year, but the emergency fuel fund, and I'm pretty protective of it because Christina Wilson made a very generous donation to this a few years ago. And we just want to make sure that money that is not spent from this special account is not lapsing into the undesignated fund.
What was the question? I was gonna, thank you.
Because she didn't donate the money for it just to end up
right,
pooled with undesignated funds. They were designated.
okay. So we need to check that,
Yeah, so my question is, so, you know, we budgeted $5,000 and only actually used $404. What happened to that last 4,600? Did it go in the undesignated fund or go back into emergency fuel?
Draw one back into the undesignated fund.
Right,
Well, then that situation needs to be corrected.
and what has,
That's like 100 gallons of fuel, is that all we did last year?
Yeah, we didn't do much.
Well, that's it's pretty astounding that between general assistance and emergency fuel fund, you had one application.
We have a lot of applications, a lot of people don't qualify for general assistance, and we haven't had a ton of people coming in for fuel.
Okay, So you're not sending people to other sources for help when they come in and apply for general assistance, are you?
No, they don't qualify.
No one qualifies?
I don't wanna talk about this here, but I can tell you that
I'm not asking you to name names.
we've had very few. I probably in the last 6 to 9 months, I've not had one that qualified. That, Mary, would you speak on my behalf? You do them too.
Yeah, we haven't had anybody that's really qualified. The last few applications that I've seen, they were way over the amount of income. So
Well, again, those numbers with the emergency fuel fund don't add up. They need to add up. And again, given the
So-
fact that my wife made a generous donation, I want to make sure that emergency fuel fund
Yeah,
has
we can, well,
has the amount in it, because barely any of it has been used and she made that donation. That's still sitting there for the purpose for which it was intended.
mhm.
So can we, for the next meeting, budget meeting, can we have the total number of what the dollar amount is in the emergency fund? For us at the next meeting?
And
Please.
can we also see if any went to the undesignated fund, because if it did, we should have an article to pull it back.
Thank you.
Okay, are we ready for DIMS?
Yes.
Article 33, to see if the town will raise and appropriate from taxation $49,608 for Belgrade's share of the 2025 operations/maintenance costs of the Village Dam, Wings Mill, and Salmon Lake dams. The request is $49,608, funding from property taxes for $49,608. We don't have any actual, do we get that from the dams, or is this the way this article always looks?
That's how it looked.
No, it said prior year budgeting and actuals in the past.
So. It may be that we just did get it from the dams.
Well, the town serves as the fiscal agent for the dam.
It's done the same way as it was last year.
In the
Oh,
past,
that's how it was done last year?
in the
Yeah.
past, there have been actuals, just so you can see sort of what the increase or decrease has been.
So we'll have to see what we can get there. Okay, Article 34. To see if the town will approve moving the balance of $500,000 in the Public Works Capital Reserve account back to the undesignated fund account and dissolving the reserve account setup. Should be that was set up, or dissolving the reserve, dissolving the Public Works Capital Reserve account. Probably what we should say.
But we need to make sure which account it is, because it might be the building account. or-
Right, that's what we've got
Yeah,
to
we
make
can show
sure.
the
that
word,
we-
which
Yeah.
we're talking about.
We just need to make sure we have it named right and,
And on that article, one of you guys as a select board needs to kind of speak up and say that was kind of a mistake that was made last year, that we overspent it.
But the voters did.
the voters, and there's
Voters
people
decide
that
on
feel
this.
very strongly on that, so.
They did, but they were also given erroneous information that the amount of money in the undesignated fund,
It's
like
a
we
lot
were
more.
sitting on a $1 million slush fund. Because they had not, when they were speaking, did not take into account all of the capital reserve accounts.
And I understand that, but, you know, the point I made and that Tom Straczynski made was that we've got to plan for the future. At some point, we will not be able to find a plow contractor, and we need to be saving for the inevitability that we're gonna have to build a garage and buy all that equipment.
Right,
And so I thought that was the winning argument, not that, and I agree with you. I mean, people look at the December 31st fund balance and they think we're swimming in cash when they don't realize we're not gonna get our property taxes for the next 9 months
right.
after that. And so that whittles down, and then in September, it's back up again, and then it starts coming down again. But I just think we gotta be farsighted when it comes to what's gonna happen in public works.
I think that we need to as well, but I also feel like with the contractor that we have now, the intention is for him to do 3 years and then he's gonna pass the business on to his sons. So we're not gonna be looking at something that we're gonna have to do in the next 3 years, and that was the promise that we made to the taxpayers. Was that we don't sit on $500,000, because $500,000 isn't gonna buy us jack.
I agree, I totally agree with you. I mean, you're,
Because what we're essentially looking at is an $8 million project, where we would have a foreman just overseeing everything and not actually doing that kind of work, as you're overseeing. We'd have to have mechanics on staff, because those big trucks don't fix themselves and you can't always get them in. So now we're looking at drivers, mechanics, buildings, all of these things, and $8 million is a gentle estimate. That's too much for this town to absorb. Because it would just continue.
I agree with you, but I think that's why you have to start saving for that. I think it's an inevitability at
I
some
don't think
point.
$500,000.
Huh?
I don't think $500,000.
Well, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
And like I said, the voters spoke on it last year.
I'm sorry,
The voters spoke on this very issue last year.
they did, and they were, pretty clear. Now, I don't know that they totally understood the reserve account. You know, they maybe were making the decision thinking we had a lot more money than we do.
Well, what happened is that money was supposed to go back in the general fund, and then $500,000 was supposed to come out for the paving. And we actually took, instead of taking $500,000, we took a total of $1 million, so that, we took an extra $500,000 that we didn't have.
Which was my argument at the time last year, is there's no rush to do that, and so then you just depleted your fund balance by $500,000 a year earlier than you needed to.
I mean, I'm either way on this. I mean, I know it was a piece of property that could be bought, that's got buildings on it that would work for.
I saw Morris the other day, so we don't know when for that.
Okay.
Just that one.
All right, well, let's go through the articles and we can debate that issue when we get into voting on the article. Article 35, to see if the town will raise and appropriate from taxation $300,000 for the roads capital reserve account to prepare for the upcoming paving costs. That straightforward, everyone okay with that one?
No, let me just go back over to the roads.
I'm sorry?
I just want to go back over to the roads one, because why would we just include that there?
That's a great question.
Because why would we not say this amount from taxation, this amount from bonding, and this amount not from taxation?
You're already
Because
saving for your
this
next
is a
paving
reason to
project,
put-
and you haven't even started the one that's on this warrant.
Isn't this for,
This would be for.
So you're only gonna pay interest, this year.
right,
So by starting this year, next year, and the year after, you come up with at least hopefully half of what your paving cost is going to be for the next round.
right.
But again, you're saving this year for a project that's 3 years from now, when you haven't even begun your paving project for 2025. Why not just apply the $300,000 to this year's contract and buy down the interest cost on that?
The interest isn't that much. I
Well,
think it's only 13,000.
well, over the life of the project,
No, not over the life.
Okay, well, that's
The
just 1
payment
year.
this year,
but you're spending down the principal by $300,000.
right? So we'll have to, if you think that you're gonna. If you subscribe to coming up with half of the paving cost for the next round, then you're gonna have to do $500,000 over a couple of years.
Well, the fact of the matter is though, between articles 34, 21, no, wait a second.
Yeah, you're right. 21, that's the road.
Well, I'm just thinking about the new raising and appropriating of dollars for capital reserves. It's $300,000 in Article 35. And it's $600,000 And Article 36,
592.5.
$600,000. So now you're up to $900,000 that you're gonna raise and appropriate above and beyond what we had in this year's budget. And then I think there was another $200,000 somewhere.
There's 200 for the
Oh, it's
center all
$200,000
season.
at the end of this, I think.
For the Center for All Seasons.
Center for all
That's the
season.
Center for All Seasons. So now you're up to $1.1 million that you're going to raise and appropriate above and beyond what you did this year. That, and again, that represents about a third of your municipal expenses this year. That's an awful lot to ask the taxpayers to shoulder in 1 year.
We'll go through it with the budget committee and the thing, but
At least we have that property tax one in there,
Well,
if you qualify.
you know, and I'm not worried about the Wilsons paying, obviously, but that's a lot.
It is a lot.
And I don't, and I appreciate the desire to be farsighted, but maybe we're getting a little too far over our skis when we're raising a third of the municipal budget in 1 year just to set aside for future needs.
So the money for the RFP for the Center for All Seasons is coming equally from Facilities and Recreation Reserve.
they're coming from existing reserve account.
Yes,
Okay, so then we're back down to
it's not raised and appropriate.
okay, but then we're back down to
But
9.
then we have other reserve accounts that we have money going in.
I'm talking about the same thing.
No, they're talking about Article 41.
No, Article 20, was it 24?
Oh, Dan, you're absolutely right. That is the one I was referring to. Article 41 does raise and appropriate another
That's a
$200,000.
reserve.
Okay, but nonetheless, that's still part of $1.1 million that you're asking the voters to raise and appropriate above this year. I'm not suggesting it doesn't need to be done, but that's an awful lot for the taxpayers to swallow.
If I had my druthers, I wouldn't fund any reserve accounts this year.
Well, you're the town manager.
If I, just because we're so low, and if we're looking at doing a 3 million TAN versus a 2 million TAN, which we've always done, right? That means, right, we're spending too much.
I can tell you right here now, on the fire truck, we're already over on 6-1 replacement, and we're spending tens of thousands of dollars on that rescue truck, so we're not gonna be able to wait.
And I'm not suggesting you shouldn't populate the capital reserves at all, but I think this is too much in one fell swoop.
Cause you're talking that them 2 trucks is gonna be down here $1 million.
Mhm.
I'm a taxpayer and I'm not looking forward to this on my tax bill either. I mean, I think there's some places we can start trimming on budgetary stuff. When we get the actuals, I think we can play a little bit, but I'm gonna play a lot, but I think there's some places to play when we have actuals. That's why it's so tough to do a budget so ahead of before we have actuals. So it's tough. I mean, yes, we can start it, but you know, we always end up at this and come January when we start getting actuals.
And I don't want us publishing the town report this year until the numbers are accurate, because what I asked for last year didn't happen. So the folks who carry that forward are never gonna have the real numbers, because we published them without the real numbers. And we never followed up with the add-in like we said we would. So we shouldn't publish it until we have them correct.
Okay. The discussion of whether we're going to approve them or not, I think will come at our next meeting.
Correct.
Okay, so let's make sure we have the articles correct for that meeting. And move on to Article 36. To see if the town will raise and appropriate from taxation $592,500 to fund the following reserve accounts. For a 2024 balance in reserve accounts of $1,422,338.73. And a request for 2025 of $592,500. So. Lorna, do we need to, are these balances correct, or we still need to get that off?
Those are unaudited
Right,
figures, so.
but they should be
And they
close.
may, some of these may have changed within the last month or two, whatever's been
Okay,
spent out of.
so we
reserve.
just need to verify those.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
any questions on this one?
yeah, what do we have earmarked in that $100,000 facilities reserve?
The 164,
No, 164 is the balance now, we're requesting an additional 100,000.
Corey. I think he's got a real long laundry list.
Yeah, that laundry list that I gave you a while ago, and when I gave you the list, it was given with the intent of you guys are gonna choose what we're gonna do. But everything in this town has been kicked down the road for so long. Eventually, we gotta start doing these projects. And we can't just keep kicking them down the road, or it's just gonna keep costing us more money. So that's gonna be the decision. And if we're gonna come out with $100,000 out of the facilities reserve to pay for half of the Center for All Seasons architectural thing, then we're gonna be down to $64,000 in there. And we're not gonna do a thing again this year, other than a couple projects. So that's my spiel.
And that's why I asked you that earlier, Corey, I was like, there's not really gonna be 164 in there, if you do the projects that were on your laundry list. That we had previously approved those projects and the funding for, and then that money went into the capital reserve. So those, I think there were 4 projects there that. I thought the intention was that we were gonna do those projects. So that's why I was asking you earlier, that number won't be accurate if we do those projects, correct?
So if you look at the North Belgrade Community Center, the parking lot, paving, prep work, a ramp, generator, doghouse roof, bulkhead cap, CCTV, North Belgrade Fire Department, catch basin, paving, sand and salt shed, roof and wall repair, town office, card swipe, kitchen, lake station, siding and trim repairs, pressure washing, and Center for All Seasons camera upgrade, Linden Cottage roof, and jacking and new supports. All of those projects, obviously, you're not gonna do them all at once, but you're looking at 250,000 plus.
So what are we doing at the town office?
This is a wish list, card swipe and kitchen,
Kitchen lot,
making it bigger, I think.
Right.
to do what? Want to go backwards here or something?
The
No,
cards-
with the kitchen, there's absolutely no room in there. So it was brought to my attention and requested that we look into adding out where the slab is poured, so we could actually have a stove, which I guess was supposed to be in the original plans, and have an actual place to sit down that is not blocking an emergency exit.
Bear in mind, put in a stove. You're also putting in a hood
Hood.
and a ventilation system and a fire suppression system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think the kitchen that we have is appropriate for a town office. We don't have, we don't have a stove in any kitchen I've ever had. We've always
Well, it's
had.
just a break room.
Yeah.
That's all I thought it was.
any-
But anyway.
Okay,
So on this article, I got a question and somebody answered, tell me if I'm, why it can't be that way. Is there any reason why we can't have all of the capital reserves in this one article? So we know what the total number is that we're voting on for capital reserves, because it's gonna get confusing to the taxpayers when we go down to article, like Dan and Anthony just said. Article 41, asking for another $200,000 for a capital reserve. Which I know you gotta vote on to make a capital reserve, so should it say, Article 41 be before Article 36, and not have a dollar figure and just say that, does the taxpayers give us the ability to, or the right to open a capital reserve for,
But you don't need to do that. You've already got a capital reserve for that. It's your road maintenance capital reserve. It's where you're pulling the money from.
no, this is on the,
And you're talking about 41,
for the
right?
tax,
That's for the
reval.
reval.
That's for the reval.
Right.
We doing the full revamp this year? Cause
No.
wasn't that the intention last year that we were doing the factor revamp, which is
This is-
gonna buy us?
Yeah, but this is to get us, because it's gonna be,
Cause this doesn't say for a capital reserve, it says 200,000 for a full revaluation. And to authorize the select board to expend the funds.
Special
You'll be
reserve.
3 years out minimum before you
Oh.
can get your revamp done.
It says special reserve fund.
Okay, I got that now.
so.
So
I-
let's finish up with Article 36
Well,
first.
this is about Article 36.
Okay, all right.
I'm asking, why can't we put all the capital reserve dollar figures into 36? So the taxpayers don't get confused, say, oh, this is all we got for capital reserves, and then come down to 41. Oh, it's another $200,000.
So we have to create that fund.
Right, so you can create that fund, just don't put a dollar figure in it, just get the approval from the taxpayers to create a capital reserve, and then you fund it in Article 36. Is that something that can be done? I'm not sure if that legally can be done, but I
Yes.
think it can be, I think we've done that before.
You just move that out of the article, just before that one.
Right,
So,
Yeah, you could put Article 41 as Article 36 and make 36 37.
right, you just don't put a dollar figure in that, put your dollar figure in your capital reserve. Totals, then that way there, all your capital, everything that you're funding for capital reserves is in one article, so all the taxpayers can see that.
Other than. Oh, the 200,000 for the rec center is coming out of current reserves.
Correct.
Right.
so there is also another approach to Article 36, and it's what you guys have done like the last 4 or 5 years. When you look through all these articles, you've always got a balance of what was spent versus what was budgeted. You're in the black. And so all you have to do is look at, and you'll have this for your town report, you gotta have this part of the audit report, and it will show you what the fund balance, the undesignated fund balance is this year on December 31st compared to last year on December 31st. Let's just say it's a $500,000 difference. You could whittle that number down by $500,000 again by just designating, moving it from the undesignated fund. Tax dollars that people have already paid
Right,
that aren't being put to good use, and put them in there and then lower,
Right.
and then you guys decide whatever that number is. You decide what your comfort level is as far as additional taxation on the taxpayers.
So my next question is, when are we looking to have the audit report by?
You won't have that for a while. They were here in December, they were here today. I think they're working on it Thursday, and Jen said she had a bit of flexible time. Within the next couple of weeks that they would be working on it, so,
By law, you have to have some of that data in your town report.
no, I don't,
Yeah, I think you do. Mary, do you know about that?
you don't. It does not,
So it doesn't have to be in the town report, but you do have to have the audit report present at the town meeting. And that's my understanding on it. So, and I'm not sure that we're going to have the audit report complete by town meeting. It may be a draft for the town report.
I said, last year we got it at the very last minute, right?
we held up
Right.
printing and we were late,
Yeah,
weren't we? We were talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
So one other question, so if we get the audit report and then we find we can take so much money out of the general fund, can we do that can we select board make a motion to take X amount of dollars out of the general fund on the floor, or does it have to be printed?
I don't think you can create another article, because that would be creating
You
another
can't.
article.
No, it'd be making an amendment to the article.
You could put an outrageous figure on it and then lower it on the floor.
You could do that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that'd look well, but
It wouldn't look well, but you could put a note on it explaining what the approach is.
Well, you can't put in notes on articles either.
Yeah, put it in the town manager's report on the, in the annual, report, or the select board's report.
I'm just trying to figure a way for us to save some money on that capital reserve fund, to save tax dollars, and, if we're not gonna have the audit report until close to town meeting, well, it's awful hard for us to sit here tonight or next week to try to make a decision on that, because we're not gonna be able to. We're only gonna be able to make it is when we have that report, so if we don't have a way to make an amendment on the articles, or this article at
You
town
can
meeting.
amend the article, right? Or you can lower the.
Lower it.
Lower the money, that's all you
Can't increase the money.
Right,
You can't change the wording, you can't do a bunch of things, it's just.
yeah,
I don't know if you can change the funding source.
I think so.
Yeah, you can change the funding source, because we've done it, I know it's been done at town meeting before.
was it legal?
I'm not sure that you
Yeah.
can, because it's my understanding you would change the integrity of the article. And when you put the wording in there, that is the wording that you have to use. You can't change the integrity of the article.
So Mary, is there a way that we can write that article to say that that decision would be made on the floor? What to, X amount of dollars could possibly come out of the undesignated fund? Legally,
You'd have to have a figure.
Yeah. So you're
It can't
talking,
be completed
you're
like
talking
that.
about the reserve article?
yeah,
Yeah. The wording already, I don't know. It's complicated, and I would hate to say and be wrong, and maybe that's something that we should reach out to Phil about.
You might say to see what sum of money, if any. And then continue the warrant article. I think I've written a warrant article like that.
maybe check,
Instead of guessing, just.
check with Phil.
All right,
But
let's
I
just,
think but I think that could be done.
I'm just
See
trying
what
to
sum
save
of
us some money,
if
that's
any.
all.
no, I understand what you're saying.
I know it's getting late.
Let's see what we can find out to get through this,
Yeah,
because,
okay,
Okay.
I just wanna,
But I do think Bruce is right about changing that 41. Getting rid of that number off there, and just moving that article up and.
right, we
create
can
the-
move
create the
41 up.
account, and then add that dollar amount line to the next article with all the
Right.
other ones.
Yep,
Right, we can
agreed.
do that.
We also-
Okay.
Do we need the LD one article too?
There is no LD one.
There is no LD
Yeah, I
one.
was trying to remember if that was done as of last year.
Okay, are we ready for Article 37 or whatever number it'll be by the time we get there?
Yes.
To see if the town will raise or appropriate from taxation $195,220 for principal, interest, and legal fees for debt service. 2024 budget is $356,954. 2024 actual is $346,191.27. 2025 request is $195,222. What is the big?
The road bond is what.
Road
Road
bond.
bonds.
The road
And
bond.
the road bond.
Huge change.
okay.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, I'm like,
Right.
what is the difference? Okay,
Huge drop.
but by, yeah, okay,
Road bond goes down, but the tan goes way up.
yeah,
Is the tan really gonna be $100,000?
okay. So this is debt. So any questions on this one?
Phil.
All right, let's go to trust activities. To see if the town will raise and appropriate $941.31 in property taxes and appropriate $58.69 from the Don C. Stevens Fund for a total of $1,000 to support an academic award from the town to the highest ranking Belgrade senior graduating in 2025. Providing we have the right numbers in there.
You do. Those are correct.
Those are good. Yay! So 38 looks good for everyone?
Yes.
Okay. 39, to see if the town will appropriate, authorize, designate, or release the collective sum of $20,158.43 as dictated by the following trusts and funds. To make available to the principal of Belgrade Central School the interest in the amount of $405.33 from the Robert A. Guptill Historical Fund for the promotion and association of history. Authorized use of the John C. Stevens Fund for the Public Schools of Belgrade income in the amount of $19,753.10 to benefit the public schools of Belgrade. Are those numbers real?
Yeah,
Whew. Anyone have any question on that wording? 2 down. Okay, number 40. To see if the town will authorize the select board to use money from the undesignated fund to maintain operations at 2024 levels, should the voters reject a departmental budget under this warrant, until such time as the voters approve a revised budget for the department at a special town meeting.
Standard fare, right?
Huh?
Standard fare, right?
Standard fare, I think.
It's a-
Yep.
Every-
Can I make a suggestion? That
Okay.
less than next week's meeting, you guys can vote on that one, because it doesn't require the budget committee, and everything's correct on it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
You guys can vote on that article, yes to approve or no, not to approve, or. Because,
Well,
Right,
Do we need to
I-
vote on it? Do we need to vote on the number?
yeah.
Does it matter? Because the number.
Well, can't we just do it all the next, when we,
it doesn't matter, but what I'm thinking though is. That's your undesignated fund. We just talked about rating that undesignated fund depending on the auditor's report. You move money over. Now, we need to know how much,
Cheryl,
It's in, right?
you know, if there's not a whole lot to move and you move enough so that you've only got 2 months worth of funds and the voters don't approve this budget until July sometime. You could have multiple town meetings,
right,
so let's not get ahead of ourselves yet a little bit.
right. Okay, and then Article 41, which will move up ahead. Should the town create a special reserve fund for the purpose of funding a full reevaluation of properties? Period, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not gonna ask for the money, we're
You're
gonna
gonna
put the
do that
money
in
in the
Article
reserve
38.
article.
Right, we'll go.
So all we're doing is creating the
the account.
fund.
Reserve.
Fund, yeah.
And do we know when that's going to be so that we could say full evaluation of properties?
I
So we
think
can
that-
say
I think-
anticipated in,
Rob
2027, is it
yeah,
27?
around 2027.
Yeah, I say it's three, I think
But
Rob
he
said
said
3
our
years.
factoring would only carry us another short while.
so we should
Yeah.
say
Done
anticipated
More than
to
once.
occur in 2027-2028.
Yeah.
So, and by saying anticipated, if it doesn't, we haven't locked ourselves in.
And just make sure you can actually put that in as an explanation.
Yeah,
It may have to be
Overlay.
written- it may have to be written a certain way.
right. when you talk-
Okay, yeah, Phil will have to do that. Phew. Well, so we have work to do on these, and I don't think we're gonna be ready to vote on them next meeting unless we have a meeting in between. So
So can I make a suggestion?
you may,
Maybe do a portion of them next week. And then do another portion the week after. I'm just making that suggestion.
well, when do we need to have,
Get the numbers first.
Yeah.
We have to get all of our actual numbers.
You know, we're gonna have actuals until probably just about town meetings.
No, we won't have an audit. Some of the other, it's the actuals of bills that have come in, we're gonna have to cut it off at some point. We're gonna have to say, this is the actuals, what we spent, and call
I mean, I think,
it close for some of
I
these.
think the warrants have all been paid out for 2024 at this point, I think.
I still have a couple that have come in.
And it seems that some of the warrants or some of the bills were assigned, assigned to
misapplied.
the wrong account. So that's what part of the problem is.
You can eat up 3 or 4 hours easily going down a rabbit hole to find, and
Just one.
yeah,
Just one, yeah.
Mary and I did that. We've done that a couple of mornings. It's crazy.
Okay, so do we need a meeting between this select board meeting and the next one? with the budget
Possibly,
committee.
but I don't think you can set a date. Until they
Okay,
can figure out how many more rabbit holes are going down.
So
Yeah.
our next meeting is February 4th.
and maybe we don't do the. Maybe we don't do the warrant at the next meeting, we have a special select board meeting to do the warrant.
Or maybe next meeting, we do the same thing we did tonight with numbers, and then have another meeting that we bring in the budget committee and do the final voting on them. So we do that.
It's
next-
just, I mean, we have other stuff in our agenda too.
Oh,
that
I'm
needs to be-
fine with that. I just want it right this year. That's,
Uh.
and it's tough because we don't get the audit report, and that's really our true actuals is that audit report.
Well, you know, and then we also have Lorna who's trying to do two jobs
Two
at once
jobs,
at the
and
same
I
time,
mean,
so.
I looked on applications from Indeed, and I never did get one to put on LinkedIn.
There's,
I couldn't access, there was a LinkedIn when I log in, on my, office computer. But it would not allow me to do anything. It shut me down like I was a scammer or something on the account.
Hmm.
Yeah, so there's, to my knowledge, there's not an LinkedIn account for the town. I suppose I
oh,
could,
LinkedIn, I'm sorry.
yeah, I suppose I could create one.
Yeah.
I haven't,
So,
because it looks like there
I
is
don't know,
one.
I still think we need to get a hold of temporary service and find somebody, even if it's not somebody that can do bookkeeping, just somebody who can do some of the other stuff to free up Mary and Lorna to be able to do. what they
Right.
need to do.
even if you can get an accountant.
Yeah, somebody, just somebody.
we need to figure out a
So,
way.
is any applicants come in, applications, I mean?
There are some resumes that came in on Indeed. There are a couple that just came in that might be a possibility. I wanna talk with Lorna, but there are a lot of them that are, you know,
I mean,
that are,
Because you don't get a good.
they don't.
pool.
Now, there are a couple that's like, oh, and then you start looking, ugh, so
You know, so
But I
it's
wanna-
nothing.
wanna
Only been 2 months.
talk with Lorna to look at them and say, is this anyone you
Yeah,
think?
well-
But the problem is we don't have anybody available to spend time to train someone. And if they don't know anything or not much.
Hmm.
And you see what I mean, that requires a tremendous amount of somebody to train, but they could make mistakes too,
Mary's got
Yeah.
her hand up.
right?
No.
Go ahead.
Mary, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I don't believe that there was a motion at the last meeting to officially put warrant articles number 3 through what is it, 13? To public hearing for the February 4th meeting. So I didn't want the meeting to go by without the board doing that, because I think that we may have a few people in attendance, and I also have to contact these social service agencies to make sure that they are in attendance either via Zoom or in person to represent their warrant article.
Okay,
He is correct, you guys didn't make a motion to do that, I do. remember
I don't
that.
think we did.
No, I'm pretty sure you didn't. I was on the last meeting.
Okay, so,
That would have been in the minutes.
Right, it was not.
okay, so let's maybe stop and do that right now. So, Mary, help me out here. I move that we have the public hearing for warrant articles number 3 through
13.
13 at our, prior to our next select board meeting on February 4th,
Or
February 4th. To
Okay,
be held 6:30 prior to our select board meeting.
okay. All right. Well, we've had a few questions about some of the
Oh.
ordinances.
Wait a
So
minute,
wait,
that's the motion.
I'll second it.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, Dan?
Did Mary have something to discuss?
Oh, can we
No,
vote, Mary?
yeah, no, that's fine. We have a few people, there are a few questions about the ordinances, so I just want to make sure there was a formal motion so I could put it out there to those groups.
Okay, so all in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes,
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. And we should have plenty, you know, anyone that has ordinance changes, they should be here as well. To help us out. Like planning board. What else do we have?
Library.
Yeah.
Anybody that we're discussing needs to be
Yeah.
present.
Right.
The planning
Okay.
board, the library.
Okay,
Now, one thing that we didn't do, and this is kind of our subject, but.
I'm sorry,
If you all would recall, our attorney had suggested that we put together policies and put them before the voters, policies and practices that we have as a norm, and we've not done any of that. So like the 2 people in a building for safety, that it's a practice that we do, but because we're very, if it's not in policy, then we act like it doesn't exist. I remember it was actually stated to us that those things like code enforcement, animal control, things that we had always done, that we should put those before the voters.
I should probably just put that, if you're gonna at this point, I put that on the floor to do it.
So
I
I
don't
just,
know, I don't know if we've got time to do all that, but it's not meeting though.
I know,
I don't think you have time to do it by this time meeting.
I know.
That, I can't see it.
yeah. Okay. So we're through the warrant for tonight. The other item is, and we're getting to 9:30. Other item on here is Spirit of America Awards. Do we want to go ahead and work on those tonight?
If we could table those, can we table those to the next meeting?
It's fine with me.
Society.
Historical
I
Society,
tucked it in because I had not heard, from Sharon. She was going to get me, some language that she wanted or preferred. So she did get that to me after I got your packet out. I gave you a copy. I think I provided you a copy of her comments.
Yeah.
yeah, I would like to look at that before I vote on it,
Yeah,
personally.
Yeah.
I don't know about the
So-
rest of you.
I tucked it in just
So
so
we have
that it would stay in front of you, and I believe the copy that I gave you in your packet included your changes from the last meeting.
But you
But it
gave us
does not,
something
but it
tonight, right?
doesn't have Sharon's suggestions.
Okay. So,
So as far as Spirit of America, we have 2 awards, but we might, two nominations, but we might get some more.
I don't know, we might. You wanna do those tonight, or do you wanna table those and do those next meeting? What's anyone's thinking?
I'd say we table until next meeting, but I don't know if we're gonna have any less to do the next meeting.
I'm
We'll make-
thinking the same thing.
Well, then let's move ahead. At least get that piece done. Lorna, Board of American nominations, I guess we know what we're doing here.
Yes. You have 2. To consider and vote on, but I also, provided you the list, which you had. before.
And these people have not
These, right,
received it
these-
before,
Right, correct.
because I think we made that vote last year that we were not gonna duplicate anymore. Okay. So the first Spirit of America Award. The nominee, Ernie Merkins and Susan Seitz, nominated by Kevin Merrill. December 23rd, 2024. The reason for the nomination: volunteers time for community. Picks up collections of bottle returns from the boxes, turns them in, and divides the money. Between the church groups and the food pantry, uses his own time, gas money, vehicle, and expects nothing in return. So, we certainly, they're certainly there all the time doing it. It's a tremendous amount of work.
And he cleans all the boxes.
What?
I said, and he maintains and cleans the boxes, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible, I mean, I would do it once a month, so. So. I move that we, approve the nomination of Ernie Merkins and Susan Sykes.
I'll second.
You'll second that. Any discussion? Anyone?
Yes, how many, I know that last year we talked about reducing the number of wards because we had been pretty generous in how many
Right.
people we recognize. So I'm just wondering if we, are we looking to only award 2 nominations this year? Or are we looking?
Well, so
We have 2.
if we get more,
I was here when we first started this, and it was really hard for us to even get this.
I'm sorry?
I was here when we first started the Spirit of America Award. And it was really hard the first couple of years to get it up and running. I think that if we have citizens, that other citizens want recognized for the value they bring to this community, that it would not behoove us to decide that they're not worthy because they've had it in the past, or that we're gonna limit it to 3, so you don't get yours. I think whatever we get that comes in goes forward.
I sort of feel that way, other than duplicating, so that we don't go on and on forever, but.
Well, that's unfortunate because it is the same group of people that consistently over the years donates of their time, their money, their effort. So to say, well, 2014 we were pretty damn good, but 2024, nope. I don't necessarily agree.
Thing is though, sometimes the people that nominate them don't realize that 2 years ago, this person got this award. They just go trying to think of names.
Well,
Right.
and what we should do is have this listed where you get your forms. It's on the website. These are the ones we've recognized in the past,
Yeah,
and I think it's.
yeah, and it's one thing if it's 8 or 10 years apart. I'm not,
And then
I
2
don't
years
think
apart.
we wanna say nobody should receive it a second time. But, it seems like it's better, some of these are more spaced apart.
Okay, so maybe what we do is approve what's ahead of us, so we can get through this, and then we can look at if there are more names that come in, what we wanna do. Is that fair?
Yes,
It
So-
seems fair to me.
Okay, so all in favor of this, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
yes,
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie?
Yep.
And I will vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. And then the second one is, from Diane Oliver. I'd like the attached nomination for the Spirit of America Forum Award for Kathy Atkinson to be considered. As my pen chip's not always legible, she printed it out so it's easier to read. She has worked tirelessly as a board member of the Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village, which in turn has worked tirelessly to improve safety and ambiance for the infrastructure of Belgrade in the village. She was there as we worked through the coordination with Maine Dot on the installation of sidewalks and pedestrian lighting. This last year as co-chair of the Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village nonprofit, her skill set of organization, fact-checking, and determination has moved the Friends forwards in acquiring and developing a parcel of land adjacent to the village green for a safe parking lot. The town of Belgrade's Village Green has been a welcome addition to the community and is often overflowing when events are scheduled. The parking lot will be a major addition to the town of Belgrade's infrastructure and help to make the Village Green a safer venue, as well as establishing a place to park and walk the village. This will make a destination spot for the town of Belgrade and enhance safety and economic development. So I move that we approve the nomination of Kathy Atkinson for the Spirit of America Award.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Anyone? All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes,
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses, so at least we got that portion of it done tonight. And if we get more awards, because we haven't set a number on how many we would award. I guess if more come in, Lorna, you should bring them to our attention.
We had a deadline, right?
Does it say on the form? I believe there is one on the form. It's
I have a,
March 1. It's
Okay.
usually like, it's usually the very first,
Oh, yes, there's plenty of time.
so we've got time, another month.
because they aren't listed. I don't think they're listed in the town report we just did
No.
them.
Nah,
Yeah.
but the form says March 1, 2024.
Yeah, I think that's an old form.
Yeah, that's an old.
Yeah, okay,
But it's usually right around the first.
okay, so under other business. We have a discussion of the CEO hours. In the budgeting process.
And the photos for the annual report.
Yeah, I know, but let's get the CEO piece first. So. Where are we at?
I think Melanie talked about the fact that. Several years ago, the hours for the CEO was at one level, and then it's now increased to another level with expenses that probably have exceeded some expectations, I would guess.
That wasn't my concern with it as much.
Was it just the process of how it got from point A to point B?
Yeah, because we were left out of the process. And we are the first part of the process, not the last.
Gotcha.
So if
Okay.
we're gonna be circumvented, then I want it on.
So I put that in the budget. Should I have come to a select board meeting and asked permission
Yes,
to increase the code enforcement hours before the budget got in process and going to the budget committee?
absolutely anywhere. It should not have been a surprise. And we've got a line item there that exceeded by $6,000. So,
He could be full-time. There's that much work.
Incredible amount of hours.
There is a lot.
I understand that, Lorna, it doesn't have anything to do with the validity of what he does. I have a problem with us budgeting for 30 hours. And then we've been exceeding that budget without notification to the board whatsoever. And then this feels like it was behind our back.
There wasn't.
Probably was
And-
behind everyone's, but the process is, you have an idea. Maybe it's at the end of a meeting and you say, hey, while everybody's still here, these are a couple of things I've been bouncing around. Or, hey, I'm gonna put this in the town manager report because this is something I want you guys to consider. What we don't find out is by watching a video of a meeting that we weren't attending to find out that that's already been put into play. So it is not the process, it is not the process in any town with a select board town manager form of government. We put the budget forward.
But the town manager presents the budget to the select board. So
That wasn't presented to us, Barbara, at no point in time. In October, it was presented to the budget committee.
right,
It wasn't even
because
noted.
traditionally, I mean, that's how we've traditionally done it. The budget committee meets first, they have their meetings with the department heads. And then we have our meeting with the department heads.
So that is not, that's only been the process the last couple of years. And clearly that process is broken down and it is not working. The budget committee doesn't get anything that the select board is unaware of, ever. They're an advisory committee that advises the select board.
And then we should change the process for next year and have the select board and the budget committee meet together. Or have the select board meet first,
Yeah.
and then have the
We-
budget committee meet or something.
We did
Yeah.
talk about that, and it cuts down on the number of meetings as well, and everybody gets the same information at the same time. And there was no intention to deceive anyone. I did put forth a budget. It went to the budget committee first because that's how it's been done here. The budget committee meets first.
And we talked about, we talked about that process.
I'm happy to change that. I mean, I'll do whatever you wanna do.
I think what Melanie's getting at is, it's nothing to do with the budget process. Is. We set the hours for each employee when they're hired, if we're hiring somebody full-time, but. When the code enforcement officer, when Gary was hired, it was this many hours. And. We've gone from part-time employees to full-time employees or whatever. It always comes to the select board person. This, I'd like to increase the hours on this employee. This is the background and why. And I think that's more, which I think you're getting at, is the fact that that didn't come to us.
And we,
It just happened to be with the budget at the same time. I think is what she's getting at.
So just help me out, because this is. I'm used to it being presented to the budget committee and then coming through. So if we have someone who is part-time and you increase their if they're working 10 hours a week, and you move them to 12 hours a week, that Lorna is to come to us and tell us that she's taking someone from 10 hours a week to 12 hours a week?
yeah.
So that's the
Because
way
that-
I'm
it
gonna
was.
say, how do we budget for that? Where does that come from? Because we're her bosses.
But if there's
Yeah.
money in the budget, and I'm just trying to figure out where it is. So if there's money in the budget. Because either someone wasn't working as many hours, or in the rec budget right now, there's extra money in the budget because Dan wasn't getting paid some of that. So there's money in the budget and we need, because we didn't. Well, we had a full time, yeah, with Kristen coming, we didn't. The current rec director was hired with, didn't come to us first to say how many hours we're gonna hire them for. Now.
But that was an existing.
That
job.
was an
Right,
existing
we've
job,
We've authorized up to 40 hours for rec director.
Okay.
Plus whatever.
okay, I'm just,
But the question never came to us, were we authorizing any position to exceed the number of hours that we set
On a regular
on
basis.
a regular basis?
You know,
And we're
Somebody
not-
goes overtime.
So, but not consistently. We don't change hours without the board being part of the process. So I'm going to stand firm on this. That we did not do this the right way. We've had no chance to say. So, all of a sudden when I brought it up, now we're getting weekly reports. I think it's been a couple of weeks since we've got one. Those are great. Part of that, we had zero information. So I don't justify increasing anything when we have zero information. And we would have been asking some of the tough questions, because instead, it's been made out in town, and I do know of a couple of people that are making these statements that this is a personal thing. It is not personal, and that is why I stated this tonight. Does have anything to do with who's in the position? I don't care who the code enforcement officer, I don't care who the town manager is, I don't care who anybody is in any position. Our job here is not personality related, it is financial. The buck stops with us. So me publicly stating here that this process wasn't following is not okay, because all that does is give license for that to continue, and it cannot. So, and I don't have a problem if we want to look at for 2026 increasing the hours, and then we fully vet it. And what are we getting for it? But I'm not gonna sit back and say the process wasn't followed at all, and that we're just okay with it. Because then if that's the point, we shouldn't be sitting here.
I am not aware of any policy or SOP or anything on the books.
Doesn't have to be. It is just the way it should be done. And it is the way it is done. And this is one of those things. that
It's
we have to
hard
Put
to-
everything in a policy.
It's hard to be reprimanded if I don't know what the policy and procedure is supposed to be if that's not written down.
You're not being reprimanded, no one's being reprimanded. So I guess now you know.
well. When we discussed and when the budget committee. Agreed on the hours, right?
But we
Budget
agreed
committee
on the hours. but-
Agreed on the budget that had so
Right.
many hours,
All
in it,
we're
right?
doing is, right, all we're doing is agreeing on the budget and sending that to the select board for their for their decision to
Right.
be made. That's all we're doing. A budget gets presented to the budget committee. The budget committee discuss it and then we approve it. Of course, we ask questions and there was big questions. Why is this being increased? Can we have some explanation of it? We got some and we sent it to the select board to kind of throw more questions at it. And
See, from my perspective, and again, haven't been here forever. Was that then allows us to come and say, yes, we approve, or yes, we agree. As opposed to coming to us first and saying, I don't see that there was
any other thing is
anything major different there.
maybe I was wrong and didn't ask for the code enforcement officer to be present at another meeting to discuss and explain to us the reasoning for his increase in his budget, for his payroll, why he needed that, I didn't ask that, maybe that was something I thought that was already discussed, so. And
I don't think you did anything wrong with that, Bruce. I'm not sure if that would have been in your place to actually
It's
set that
not-
up,
Yeah,
right?
No, I think the difference is increases hours versus budgeting for next year's budget on a dollar amount.
Right,
You're kind of taking both of them and sticking them together.
and they're not.
So if we had a month before known that we're looking at increasing the code enforcement officer, our questions would have been asked why and everything else, instead of trying to deal with that and dollar amount at the same time.
so now
I
we're
think
here,
that's kind of-
and we have a need for more hours for the code enforcement officer.
Now we gotta go through that discussion too.
Right.
Right, so let's have a meeting. Can we have a meeting with the code enforcement officer at this point? I mean, the budget is still in flux. Nothing has been finalized.
Being at starting that process now, that process, I brought this up in October. And again in November and again in December. In January, we don't get to decide that now we're gonna do it the right way.
Why don't we get to decide?
Because we don't have time to get that done.
I mean,
But we're
I
talking
mean,
about $6,000 out of a multi-million-dollar budget.
It's more than $6,000. It's a 15.6% increase just simply in that line item.
yeah, and it was brought up by the budget committee that it was a 15% increase, I do know that is a correct number. And the other thing is, and I'm not saying it's not needed, I'm not saying it's not needed. But we have so much other stuff to work on budget stuff. How are you guys gonna, I mean, here it is, 10 o'clock at night. And we haven't even finalized any of the budget. And I think we need to get the budget finalized. Any policies or anything like changes like that is gonna have to come after the budget is finished. I think that's just me talking as the chair of the budget committee. I think the important thing right now, March is knocking on the door pretty hard. And the annual reports to get printed, gotta go out. I mean, I don't know where to go with the decision on this, but I think at the next meeting, you guys don't have time to discuss this or bring this in, because this could turn into an hour and a half discussion, And the other thing is do you have time to have information brought to you so everybody has a chance to read it over to make sure that, reports, and so on and so forth. But I think right now, the most important thing you guys have on your plate is, one, finding a treasurer. Is one of your most important things. Second is get the budget completed, which is gonna be tough because, Lana's overworked already.
Right,
I mean, me and Dan Dan talked to you for me.
right,
She's
Yep.
overworked and, and it's too much, it's way too much on her plate, it really is, And we're pushing more and more onto her,
right, well, that's why we,
and that's what I'm saying. This is gonna push more onto her plate if you guys are gonna try to discuss this and get it done for town meeting, it's just way too much. I mean, it's gonna be hard enough to just get a budget done. And if we're failing our taxpayers in this town right now, and it's.
so. What did we budget last year for hours?
30 hours.
30.
Well, we should have had 32. That's what was discussed last year.
And when you stated that at another meeting, I asked for you for meeting minutes or something that showed that.
I don't think
None of
we
us could
took,
recall 32 hours ever being discussed. We were going from 25 to 30. So I didn't see anything that said 32. I went back to.
I don't believe there are any published minutes.
So it's.
Well, can we tell from what the CEO budget number was last year?
30 hours.
Divide it by his pay and figure out how many hours were there? I mean,
Well, I think the board had set a 30-hour limit. It may have been budgeted for 32, but the board had set a 30 hours.
It
So,
was budgeted for 30. The 32 just, I'm not even sure where it came from.
I mean, there's,
so I don't think it's, you know, if there's time to discuss this in March. And discuss it in March, and if it's decided, you guys always can bring it to an article in June to be voted on. And just a, you know, it's a 15% increase or whatever that dollar figure is, that'll be an dollar article that you vote on at the June school budget. Yet we're gonna have articles to be voted on, I'm sure, in June, so, you know, we're voting on the school budget. What is one article for 12,000, you know, I'm throwing a number out there, $15,000. You can vote on it then, it gives you guys time to work on this.
Yep. Agreed.
And the other thing that's important about the code enforcement officer is the revenue that's generated from the work that he does.
Well, that's the other thing that the budget committee had no.
That helps to offset his salary.
Right, the
Right.
planning board, the budgets, that building permits are way too cheap in this town.
There,
Agreed. It's time to increase.
especially when the penalties are tied to the fees for the
Yeah,
permit fees.
right.
So we
well,
gotta.
that's got to be something we look at after we get through town meeting. Is our fee schedule and our penalty schedule, our fine
It's under
schedule.
general
Yeah.
government.
Because otherwise people will say, oh, take cost me $3,000 to take down a tree, $30,000 fine, put it into the cost of the project.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we have to beef those up.
All right, so I want to get back to something
Okay,
that,
so let's go back to the code enforcement officer. Do we want to keep the pace? Do we want to, leave the budget figure with a 3% increase from last year?
What are we using for permit revenue to offset that account?
Common permit fees and, building permit fees, I think. I think it's $10,000 from plumbing permits. And I can't remember what the building permits was.
$18,000 plumbing fees and building permit fees.
And didn't we have some fines or where do those go?
Those go into water quality.
Yeah.
Those go
it's
water
too bad,
quality.
Yeah, too bad, because we do have some good ones.
Well, doesn't mean
The
we
water
can't change that too.
Water quality can go to
Offset the,
offset the Seven Lakes.
yes.
Yeah.
thank you. So it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
Okay,
so. Is that what we're deciding then? Take whatever was from last year and increase by 3%? Did I hear that?
3% rate, I mean, the pays, the 3%.
I guess
increase
that's
of
what we're
pays.
doing. I mean, I personally don't like that, but I'm one of 5.
Well,
And like I said, you guys get time to discuss it and put it on June's vote.
agreed. We have a lot to do in a short amount of time.
Right.
And there's room for improvement in this process that apparently. And I'll have a suggestion in a minute. So
Okay.
let's get some stuff done relative to the budget. I would say I would advocate that we fund or ask for the budget for the CEO to be a 3% increase over what we had
Over
last year.
last year,
Yeah, and then chart out a course to have a more robust
More robust.
conversation about how to improve the process. Number one,
Just
hang on, please.
just bear in mind that last year you
Yeah.
overspent that money.
we
So
overspent.
what we
Right.
originally budgeted plus a 3% increase.
Yes, and so here's the thing, if one doesn't know about the process very well, I think we owe it to the town manager to either outline it in a process or at least include it somewhere. So that
Right.
if there's a change that occurs, whether it goes through the budgetary committee and then something comes up like the end you talked about, like a number that shows up, that may not resonate, say, hey, we better let the select board know this is an impact, and they have to make a decision. If that doesn't resonate there, there's no way it's gonna come here.
Yeah,
So we have to outline that, it's like a request for change, right, with the personnel. So somehow we have to come up with a way to do that, because there's no way we're gonna have success in the future if we don't do that.
right.
So I would really strongly advocate that we outline that process somewhere.
No, and that's part of what Ann said, is that if we're constantly relying on whether or not we have written policies in town, then we need to put our policies that we do in writing.
Yes, exactly,
But we
and revisit, and revisit
No, we
that.
don't have time to do it now.
I know, so I would just strongly advocate that we chart this out going forward after the budget.
And can I make a suggestion that have it maybe put on the second board meeting, regular board meeting in February to start a discussion on this and on the agenda? Just to start a discussion, and that way maybe.
Well, let's see how we go, because we have a lot of stuff we've got to do at our next meeting.
Yeah.
That is we're gonna need to but move through this.
Yeah,
Okay, so if, I'm just looking at these numbers, so if the budgeted figure for code enforcement for this past year was 56,650, and he received 62,422, and we're looking at 56 as a figure, and he's gonna be receiving 58,349, which is less than he received this year.
Because he worked 32, but it's only approved for 30.
The thing is, though, you can't go just with 3%. Because when you
Right,
increase
benefits.
3%, you also increase in
Right,
Right,
stuff that comes out, taxes that come out and everything else. So
right.
You're gonna have a number that's gonna be a little bit higher.
a little bit higher than that,
Tuesday,
right?
5%?
Yeah.
Well, it will.
Well,
it's
we
all
can
broken out.
pull that number and get it.
It's all broken out, so if I do 30 hours, at the, whatever the rate is, times 3%, that'll give me an amount for the wages line.
Right.
And then
And
everything
in my
comes after.
spreadsheet, it will
Right.
automatically calculate,
That's
so I
it.
can adjust.
Right, so I'm
those.
just saying, it just, if you
Yeah.
added 33% to that line
Yeah,
tonight,
it's-
it's not.
right. No, I
It's just-
understand that,
It's
but it's
just
just-
taxes
I mean,
and PFML.
right, I mean, it just seems pretty clear that it's gonna be less than what he received this year.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we were over budget this year. And you've got to figure in some overtime anyway,
Right.
or additional
yeah,
hours, because
flexibility.
things happen,
They do.
They do.
so, and we aren't in the habit of saying, all right, you worked this many hours this week,
Go home.
next week you can't work that many hours.
Right.
But if you've got the stuff to do, so it's honestly, it may be justified when we start talking about it, that he ends up as a full-time employee.
I think that's where we need to go.
I think that's the direction we need to go in this now, I honestly do.
I think that's what we just have to discuss. Let's get a number in there for now,
Yeah,
and
But the whole thing is that we have the right to discuss it,
Right.
and we should be. Because we're the ones who have to answer for it.
But Melanie, I didn't know I was doing something wrong. That I've not been told there's no policy.
Honest to goodness, I don't wanna go around and around the mulberry bush. Two meetings I brought it up and was blatantly ignored. So it's not, I'm not.
Prior to that is what I'm talking about. You can't hold me responsible if you've not given me the information.
okay.
Okay, let's move on.
We have a plan. Legal fees, which Phil
said-
has just given
Yeah,
us.
Phil sent this over, and he must think we're on a July 1.
Oh.
Budget cycle,
Nice.
but in 2024, we increased from 1,100 to 1,250. This year, he has put in his office, 67.4 hours. He said if this were billed hourly, the value would be $20,521.
And we're really. at
So he
12 times 12.
proposes increasing to 1,800 a month, which is 21,600 a year. He said he could do January, February, March, keep it at 1,250, and then increase April through December. So for 2025, that would be 19,950. We do have a budget line already of 25,
Oh, okay,
so that does cover that.
But that also includes the items that are over and above the monthly.
Yes,
fee.
anything else, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yes.
so we probably need to increase the legal budget to reflect the increase. No?
I don't know that we want to be.
I don't think so, not this year, but I think what it is, we gotta start making a conscious effort of some of the little small things.
Going in on
Don't call them. If you've got 3 or 4 things, call them on 3 or 4 things at once. Because I'm sure every time they pick up the phone, it's an hour bill.
Clock starts.
I'd rather, I don't think they bill in 5-minute increments.
I think they bill
They
in
do
10
bill
or
that
10 or
way.
15.
Yeah, so I
Quarter
mean, if
hour.
you can ask more than one question at a time, I
Yeah,
think maybe that's some of the things we
I'd
need
like
to
for the
start
whole
doing.
board
is
to
try
get
to-
the written answers to the questions as well.
Okay,
Because we don't get
We
the-
I just wanted to make sure that we have this
Make more efficient.
information as we're putting budget together, whether we leave it the same or we don't.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think we're covered this year.
okay,
Yes, no.
okay.
We
Is there
had
any-
some unusual added expenses in 24, so we may be okay with
Yeah. Any other business for tonight?
Warrants.
The photo contest,
What?
the photo contest for the annual.
Oh, yes, okay. Why don't you make your motion?
All right, so I make a motion that the town of Belgrade accepts sunrise and sunset photograph from citizens, that we publicize it on the Facebook, on our town website, and then we leave flyers in public locations. We should set a time for how long we're gonna collect them for, and then there will be a contest for the winner of the sunrise and the sunset.
The photos
I
have to-
second that.
And the photos have to be in Belgrade.
Yes.
If not,
They
you're
have
gonna
to
get them
be
from
Belgrade.
Bar Harbor.
Yeah, right.
Belgrade photos.
Belgrade photos. Okay, any discussion? All in favor, Dan?
Yeah.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Okay. Any other business this evening?
Warrants.
Okay, let's do warrants. I move we approve BMV warrant number 3 in the amount of $8,454.78.
Second.
All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
I'll vote yes, that's 5 yeses. I move we pay payroll warrant number 4 in the amount of $20,916.19.
I'll second that.
All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
yes,
and I'll vote yes, that's 5 yeses. I move we pay AP warrant number 5 in the amount of $700,843.98.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion on the AP warrant?
That pesky school fee.
I know the
Pesky
school,
fee.
Pesky.
the school fee and I think, and a plowing fee too, so
Oh, yeah.
that took up the most of it.
I have access to both emails, not
All right.
the
I'm gonna have to find
Yeah.
out what happened.
Why don't send it to me, town manager? If there's,
Okay.
I checked both
I know
emails,
you've got
nothing.
bills outstanding for a company.
Okay, are we ready to vote on the AP warrant?
Yes.
All in favor, Dan,
Yes,
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, that's 5 yeses. I move we pay BMV warrant number 6, the amount of $15,336.86.
I'll second that.
All in favor, Melanie,
Yes. Shucking my duties over here.
Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
yes,
I'll vote yes. I move we pay payroll warrant number 7 in the amount of $21,911.35.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
yes,
and I'll vote yes. And I move we pay 2024 warrant number 49 in the amount of $21,412.71.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
149.
Did I say 49, 149, okay. All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes,
and I'll vote yes.
gotta keep you honest.
We are through the warrant. Town manager report, Lorna?
It was really short.
I had this.
We had a department head meeting first of the month, first of the new year, January 10th. Fire building committee will meet January 22, tomorrow night. The comprehensive planning committee was scheduled to meet last week, but that's been moved to January 28th. The Center for All Seasons hosted a pet drive January 14, which was a huge success. The next event will be April 1 with free registration available again. W-2s have been completed and sent out to all employees. Auditors will be here the week of January 20, so we did have 3 from RKO here today. Dwight Dowdy has been contacting myself and CEO Hans Rasmussen to proceed with permitting of the 2 wells in Deacon's Cove. We have a new deputy clerk, Joanne Devio. She lives in Albion. I think she's doing a really great job.
We've got Illinois and Albion.
I know. We have 4 I think we have 4 candidates, maybe just 3, running for select board and school board. 3, 4, 5, there's 5 altogether.
3 for select board.
And 2 for school board, yeah. We plan to have a newsletter out prior to town meeting and secret ballot voting. We received notification that the speed limit for the railroad crossings will increase from 25 to 40 miles an hour. This information has been posted to our Facebook page to alert the public. And the building for if you haven't been out back to look at the ice skating area, it's coming along very nicely. I
Looks
think the plan is to have it ready for the 25th. And the building came today, the donated building.
Nice.
So, yeah, very nice.
You know, there's some nice cold temperatures, freezing the ice.
Yeah.
It was -8 at my house this morning. It was
-10 at my house.
Oh my God. So on the radar, town meeting, of course, working super hard to get that done. 4-day work week review. We still need a water trustee and a short-term rental ad hoc committee member. The ARPA expenditure portal will be open in April. Still waiting for news on the CDS grant for the new fire station. The committee is still working on updates in a plan and funding for Center for All Seasons, updating the employee handbook and reviewing policies.
You get anything back on you had sent an email out about social security stuff for 2020.
2023. Trio sent an email yesterday on how to get the 2023 W-2s again, which is a fairly simple process. It's the same one we used to get 2024. You're able to choose you would actually choose the archive. You go into the archive, so you can choose a previous year. You just follow the same steps like we did for this year. And we should be able to print new and then mail those to Social Security. We
And
have,
electronically, 'cause that might
well,
be this,
this year we have to do it, we're required by law to do it electronically. I'm waiting for a PIN from the government. They said I would have it within 5 to 10 days, and I sent the request on the 10th. So I'm waiting for that. If we can get that and get our 2024 W-2s filed electronically, then we would likely try to file 2023 as well. I had four people check Social Security. None of these people, including myself, have wages reported from Belgrade for 2023. And I don't know if you all have access to social security, but you should check.
Well, I went to look and then it was like, if you do this, you're no longer gonna get a paper copy. I'm like, nope.
Oh,
Cause I keep the paper copies.
so, well, I do not know what happened. I don't know what happened. We do have like the scanned copy, so we know they were done, obviously.
I bet it's a system.
Wonder if they were
But it
done,
very
but
well
somehow
could
they
be,
didn't
yeah.
transmit.
Very well could, I think they were.
Could
snail
they be
mailed.
done, printed, but they didn't
I'll say if
transmit?
they went by
I think they
mail,
were snail mailed, because
Then-
back then, last year, you weren't required by law to
Oh,
do it
that's weird.
electronic.
That's weird because us as a business, we've been required to do it by email since before COVID. 2019 was the first year we had to do it, but
Interesting.
had to do it electronically. You're not allowed to do it by mail anymore. That's why I'm surprised that.
They just, it must be something about the number, maybe the number of employees, because I know.
Because you're a municipality.
Yeah, I know the listserv this year, it's been all of us because people know this year we're required by law to file electronically.
And
So everybody's been really on, seeking.
and I can tell you, 2023, they didn't accept it because I got fined.
I'm not worried about social security being
I
taken out of the
believe
loan,
that.
just better check I get.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm
They
like,
wanna
pretty
come after
sure
me
it's
for
always the
59
same number,
cents.
so I'm guessing they're taking it out.
Well, the biggest thing is the town, so it was electronic, I did mine electronically, but so the income tax accepted, but Social Security Administration didn't supposedly receive it. And it was in 2023, well, it was an $800 fine, but we caught it within 2 weeks. It was $800 fine, so just be prepared, you guys may end up with a huge fine and penalty.
Okay. If there's no further business.
On that happy note.
What happened to talking about the person that wanted to come in and talk to us about the fines?
Yeah, so.
Oh, well,
I'm like,
we're
is
gonna
it
do that in executive session
Yeah,
or not?
'cause I was like, is it or is it not?
Huh?
Is it confidential or is it not? So I didn't wanna keep going back and forth on.
I don't know if that's confidential or
Good
not.
question.
I don't know what question it is. So.
I think one part of that situation is confidential, but another part is not.
So, cause they were coming in the confidential envelopes, which is why, and I just want to be sure that we followed up after that. So that was sort of what my question was,
Oh,
and I believe the follow-up was prior to that. So,
well, yeah, because I've seen, yeah,
yeah, and it doesn't mean that we have to do the request, but.
I think
sort of
subsequent to that, didn't
acknowledgement
they
of
get,
why or not. Like, we don't wanna set a precedent, or,
Yes, I had a meeting and everything was good.
it was prior
okay,
to that.
and didn't the code enforcement officer go back out and make sure?
I don't think
Am I-
well, I think there's been maybe one inspection.
Yeah,
But any future, it will either be done with more than one person or it will be just taking a ride.
so there is another person there.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's safer, I think, for everybody, protects everybody.
so are you comfortable with that, or do we need to do?
I just want, I was guessing we probably hadn't found up anything after that, and I don't want somebody thinking that they sent something to us and then we just ignored it.
Oh, no, I
So
think,
there should be some sort of a response, even if it is,
right, no, I think,
this is.
well,
So that's all settled, I don't think we should be responding anyway.
yeah,
Certain things.
Isn't it settled though, at this point? Now we're saying, well, maybe she's gonna do something different, and we don't have anything to say
Well-
is. So it should be settled. So, but we can take this up in the next round, I'm just sticking it back in here, but I just wanna be sure that we follow up somehow. Even if it's to say no.
have you? We've had follow-up from the letter, so we're all set?
I met in person.
You met in person, okay,
Okay, after this letter?
I don't know what the date of the letter is.
November.
Yeah, I met in November. 16th, 26th.
Okay.
Okay,
I could probably give you a more specific date,
okay,
looking back through email.
Okay.
okay. All right, on that note, I move we adjourn at 10:21.
Second.
All in favor? Melanie, Peter, Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yeah.
and I'll vote yes.
Party, yes.
Hard, yeah.
That kind?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Whew.
So.